Hello, Scribblers. I'm Katie, the founder and CEO of the Scribblers Den, your online source for writing craft courses and writing community. We're here today with picture book author Jennifer Nestor, a communications major graduate from Southern New Hampshire University. Jen currently resides in Florida, though she's originally from Philadelphia. Hello, fellow Pennsylvanian.
Whew.
Few books out in the world. Jane escapes to the jungle of individuality, which, oh, there we go. That's pretty clear right there. And also Jane's Carnival Adventure. Her books use imagination and magical adventures to encourage change and promote diverse characters who require strength, courage, and a sense of individuality. When she's not writing, Jen is a beast on the pickleball court, traveling to exciting locations and helping to champion other writers. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and chat with you.
Yeah. So really quick segue. Have you reclaimed some pickleball points? Because the last time I spoke with you, there was some contention because you were missing a game.
Yeah, so in my women's league on Thursdays, I moved down two slots when I went to the retreat and went from number two to number four. And I have worked my way. I'm now number three, and I've been sitting there the past 2 weeks. So hopefully next week's our last game. So we'll see how it ends.
Okay. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Because we were rooting for you. We were gonna figure out a way to do like our own matches so that we could get you back on the board somehow.
I love it.
So if we could just start by talking about Jane. So as someone who spent a lot of time daydreaming, especially on the bus, I had like a 45-minute bus ride to and from school. And I can't tell you how much of that I spent daydreaming about being someplace else.
Yeah.
So this book would have changed my life as a young kid. What was your inspiration for Jane, and how did you go from idea to finished project, which I know is huge? So just give us like the highlights reel of your journey to publication.
Yeah, so initially I was finishing grad school. So, like you mentioned, I was in SNHU and I was getting my master's in new media marketing. And I ended up doing some really awesome like projects where I had to write 10-page papers. And like internal me, I was like, wow, like I don't know why I love doing this so much. There's no one I know that enjoys writing a 10-page paper but me. And I was having so much fun and I've always loved to write since I was a little girl. And
Mhm.
while I was going through grad school, I'm like, what do I want to do with my life? I'm enjoying my career, but it's not necessarily what's lighting me up. But what is making me happy is when I'm able to do long form type of writing. So I'm like, I am going to do the thing that I've always wanted to do and start jotting down ideas for manuscripts and see how it goes. So the idea for from Jane specifically came from just my experience as a child, kind of moving from Philly to Florida and getting picked on for my accent because I sounded different than
Yeah.
everyone else. I was an only child, so I didn't necessarily have like sisters or brothers or like family here in Florida except my mom. So it was a really hard transition for me. And I just remember always feeling like I was so different and isolated from all the other kids. And then as an adult, even seeing some of my friends' kids go through issues on the bus or
Yeah.
situations in school or through social media really inspired me to write something that would help kids be able to not only understand that they're not alone, but that their unique differences should be celebrated, not something that
Yeah.
they should be embarrassed by. So the process really was writing the manuscript. It took about, a couple months to get it
Mhm.
fine-tuned. I went through an editing process with an editor. I found my illustrator, Victoria, through SCBWI, which is a membership for authors and illustrators. And what I really loved about her portfolio was just the vibrancy of her illustrations.
I
I
love the pictures. They are gorgeous.
Yeah, she did a really good job like conveying the emotion in her portfolio. And I felt
Mhm.
like for the story that I had written, she would be the perfect complement to that. So once I signed on with Victoria, it took about probably 6 to 8 months to get the illustrations where they needed to be throughout the process of doing the black and white sketches,
Right.
sending them to me, getting them approved. And then once I approved the black and white, she moved on to color. So I really enjoyed being a part of that creative process and getting to have a say on, yes, this is great, or hey, no, like maybe her glasses are missing in this image, go
Yeah.
ahead and add them. And then once the illustrations were finished, I decided to work with a third party company called Book Baby, and they kind of helped be the middleman between myself and then getting everything online.
Mhm.
Since it was my first book, I didn't really have a lot of, I guess, education on the best approach to go forward with self-publishing.
Right.
So I did a lot of research, and this seemed to be the best option for someone like me who was working full time as a director of marketing and was trying to get this book out into the world. So, long story short, everything got published, and it has been incredible since. I just launched my second book with Jane's Carnival Adventure, and that has been amazing to see it come to fruition. And for the second book, I would say the process was very similar,
Mm.
except I ended up going through Ingram Sparks instead of Book Baby
Yes.
this time. So just to try something different, see how that would go, see if the return on investment and things would be different. And I've learned a lot throughout this part of the process too, doing it a totally different way.
Yeah. No, and that's phenomenal that like you took that chance and kind of switched it up. Because a lot of times like we try something and we have success and we're like, okay, this is it. This is where I'm gonna stay. So that's great that you tried something new. Do you wanna like do you think you'll stick with Ingram Sparks for your next Jane book, or are you gonna try something like a third secret way?
Yeah, I'm not really sure yet.
Mhm.
I've thought about different approaches. The biggest change I did from the first book to the second was not just the Book Baby versus Ingram, but I also did a Kickstarter campaign for my first book.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting $7,500 out of my Kickstarter, just based on getting the Projects We Love badge, really
Mhm.
like pushing hard from a marketing perspective to friends,
Yeah.
family, ads and so forth. And that went well. So I had the funds to be able to do different things that for this book, I didn't necessarily have the same pot to start with as far as like
Yeah.
money goes. So I kind of was forced into trying something different. And I feel like so far, Ingram has been fine. I would say the biggest difference that I've seen from my perspective is like the quality of the books themselves,
Uh-huh.
and really like more the paper and so forth. So I think like when you go with any type of distributor for books, you really want to do your research on like what options they have,
Yeah.
what does the quality of the book look like, get that sample. I ended up getting multiple samples from different places
Oh,
for
nice.
Jane's Adventure, and it was good to be able to like buy a certain bulk of books for this one for my pre-orders that I did on my website this time, and then also have a larger order down the road with a different vendor, just based on
Okay.
like the time I had for launch. So I'm doing a large bulk order overseas for the second order too.
That is fascinating. I love talking with you. So, Scribblers, just so like I love giving my Scribblers the full context, and I think it's so cool. But Jen and I met at this amazing writing retreat like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
It
wasn't
feels like
long
a century, but it was just recently. And every time I talk to Jen, I feel like I learn so much. Not only just about like some publishing things in general, but especially about children's book, because you are my first children's book author I've ever gotten to speak with. So this is, I'm just like, oh, you got like sample books? Like who would have ever thought to do that? So
ago.
I'm fascinated, absolutely fascinated.
Yeah, it was really cool to see all the different look and feel of
Yeah.
each sample. While they kind of look the same from, I would say, like the regular perspective, anyone that would just
Mhm.
look at a book wouldn't be able to really tell a huge difference. But because I've been doing this for a while and have seen so many different
Yeah.
children's books, I can easily spot like a difference in a thickness of a cover
Mhm.
versus quality of the color of the illustrations themselves, or
Yeah.
even the way that the paper feels. So
Mhm.
there are things to like look for when you're going to make those decisions for
Yeah, and I feel
sure.
like having them side by side, you'd really be able to like tell those differences. So that's amazing. Like mind is blown right now. So Jane Escapes to the Jungle of Individuality received the reader's favorite 5-star award. Congratulations. And it's found its way into libraries and classrooms. So as somebody who went the self-publishing route, was having Jane in classrooms part of your original vision for the book, or not?
Absolutely. I think for anyone that has a goal to make a lasting impact on children at the end of the day, I think getting into libraries and schools is so important because A, you have much more broader range of visibility, whether it's
Mhm.
local, whether it's national, however that might be, or look for you as a writer. But then also, I have an educator resource that goes with both books now. So I have one for book one that's 36 pages, and I just got one created for the second book that is probably half the size. But the goal of those is to really go into the schools and teach them a lasting
Yeah.
lesson that accompanies the storyline of the book. So having like worksheets and
Mhm.
puzzles and different questionnaires and things that the kids can do in the schools was really important to me.
Yes.
So I always had the vision that ultimately, if I were to publish this, it would not only be in as many schools as possible, but libraries too, because,
Mhm.
you know, there's a literacy crisis happening for the younger age. So
There
giving
is.
them the opportunity to like read these books that actually have substance and meaning and teach resiliency and
Mm.
all these different topics, I think is super important. And I think libraries and schools are the way to go when
Yeah.
you're trying to get that more broad exposure and you're self-published.
Yeah, and I'm speaking as an educator myself, the fact that you have those guides and those lesson plans, every teacher out there is saying thank you so much because we develop so much on our own, but when it comes with the book and we're like, oh, thank you, like one less thing I have to not have to like can take off my plate. Thank you. Thank you. On behalf of every teacher everywhere, thank you. Um, so follow up to that, and we kind of touched on it just a little bit there, but why do you think it's so important for kids to read books that celebrate differences?
Yeah, I think that when I was doing my research as far as what type of children's books were in the market, what was
Mhm.
selling well, what did that content look like? One of the things that I felt was missing was the ability to not only talk about like bullying and anxiety and so forth,
Yeah.
but almost having like a trifecta of bullying, anxiety, mindfulness, and really giving them a way to understand through the use of animal characters that all of these strong jungle characters have something unique about them.
Yes.
And what's unique about you is something that's special and not necessarily something that you should be shy about or
Mhm.
afraid to talk about. So the word individuality is something that I had never seen in any of the children's books. And there was one point where I was getting a lot of like questions at markets about that,
Yeah.
and I felt really strongly that that title and the book and all the contents inside was like the perfect fit in
Mhm.
someone reading that, learning higher vocabulary, and
Yeah.
also realizing that their individuality makes them unique, and that's really important. So I think that that was my main reason for wanting to write on those topics and teach the kids those lessons
Mhm.
from the get-go, book one, and roll into a series that was social emotional learning that
Yes.
hit different resiliency topics. So I felt there was a big gap in the market in general for
Yeah.
not just using the word individuality, but also, what that really means and get into the
Mhm.
core of what makes the kids unique and special.
Yeah, and there is there's a big shift in schools themselves to provide more social emotional learning opportunities. So it is great. And I just like as I was reading it, because I was reading it as an educator, I'm like, this is fantastic. And like you said about that vocabulary shift, especially in schools, you're reading it with the teacher. So that
Yeah.
teacher is gonna be able to like go over the bigger words like individuality and there was a couple of other ones. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that is perfect. I could like you would read that and then you would pause, and this is what this means.
Yeah.
And I could like see myself teaching a whole lesson as I read your book. So
And that's one thing I've learned too. You mentioned something really important is like as a teacher, being able to pause and explain those
Yeah.
words. Something I've incorporated to my school presentations and visits is really like starting with the word individuality and saying, does anybody know what that means?
Yeah.
Most of the time, somebody, they don't unless they're older and like maybe the third through fifth grade is really that sweet spot. But if
Yeah.
I have a class that's maybe kindergarten to second and they don't know, like I will specifically describe it and say, it's actually what makes you unique and special.
Mhm.
So think about that while we're reading this story, and then we're going to
Yeah.
circle back and talk about what that actually means at the end. So I try to like make those things known initially so that there's not any type of confusion
Yep.
or whatnot with that higher vocabulary word.
Pre-teaching, you're hired. I can tell you about 50,000 school districts that would love to have you. Um, so you've really been putting in the hustle to get the word out about your books. You had a Kickstarter, you
Yep.
do school visits. Your website is amazing. Do you feel that as a communications major, how has that knowledge influenced and impacted some of your decisions as a writer from a marketing perspective?
Yeah, I think being from a marketing and communications background has really impacted my approach on creating a strategic marketing plan for the book from the beginning.
Yeah.
So really doing the market research, looking at all the options, not only from the publishing perspective, but what would it look like if I tapped into the Jacksonville market or St. Augustine or
Mhm.
markets around where I live and really focus on a few things. So bookstores, trying to get visibility in as many
Mhm.
indie bookstores as I can. And even like some of the bigger retailers, like trying to create those relationships, going into the schools and kind of pitching myself and saying, I have, these programs, they're amazing. They would do X, Y, and Z for the students.
Yeah.
And there's that media side of it, right? Of like, okay, I'm brand new, I'm a debut. How in the world do I get myself out there?
Yeah.
Like, I know how to market from a big perspective of like large companies like healthcare and small business company, all these things. But when it came down to being a writer, like you really have to think outside the box and
Mhm.
figure out like how can you get the best return on investment, whether it's ads, whether it's free press, so going on the news.
Yeah.
I've been on my local station quite a few times. I've been on the radio. Um, I've done press releases. I've emailed many like local print magazines.
Mhm.
And my goal going into this from a marketing standpoint was, all right, I know how to do all these different types of marketing because I've done it in my career. Like, let me test out a few things and see what actually works and
Yeah.
brings return. So that was my approach initially going into book one. And then into book two, now I've learned all these things in the past year of like, okay, maybe this specific thing did not bring any return on investment, or I didn't get
Mhm.
any like increase in sales or website visits from
Right.
TV spot or whatever the case might have been, right? But my name's out there more, there's more visibility. And what I've noticed is the more I put myself out there when it comes to like brand awareness, whether it's at a market or whatnot, I'm starting to now meet people that have said, like, hey, I've seen you before. I've seen one of your things on social media. I met you at this event.
Mhm.
Oh, I heard good things about your book from this person. And like, that's how I know that the strategy that I was taking initially, like, has worked in a sense that
Yeah.
the visibility is increasing. People are starting to know. And now I'm getting more emails to invite me to places, whether it's a school, whether it's a market, a certain thing like for a YMCA family event or something. Like
Right.
they're reaching out to me, and like I take that as like pieces of success along the way that
Yeah.
something I'm doing must be hitting the right buttons to make that forward motion.
Yeah, and I feel like we don't talk about enough like the slow build that kind of any, I mean, like celebrity or any public figure or author needs. And it's not just like all of a sudden, oh, you exist. There's
Yeah.
that like you spend that time with like, I have 50 followers, and they're like, I've got 200 followers. And then you start getting to you're like, like your point, you're like, wow, people recognize me now. So yeah, there's that slow build, and you've just got to keep sticking at it.
Yeah, I would say persistence is key
Yeah.
in that because it was a very slow burn. It took a lot of time to get to the point where I feel like, okay, like I can put out this email to my list
Mm.
and I'm guaranteed that they're going to click on something. Like the
Right.
open rates are higher. Like I'm seeing the difference now than I did initially when I first started. And I think it's really important to just know that in the back of your mind, like just like selling a book on
Yeah.
Amazon. You're not going to be a bestseller immediately, like without doing all the legwork behind the scenes.
Hmm.
So you can't just
Yeah.
put it out and hope for the best and pray.
Yeah, no, I like you are a marketing genius, and I will be picking your brain, not today in this interview, but eventually, I'm going to do it. So a common misconception that a lot of people have with writing picture books is that it's easy because they're so short.
Okay.
Um, and I know, like, I don't even write picture books, and I'm like, oh God, I'm like offended for all of you. Can you give us just a little insight into that process of drafting and revising a picture book and the challenges of finding that unique premise to tell your story?
Yeah, I think that it's a big misconception on the shorter, the easier. I actually think the opposite.
Yes, I
Um,
agree.
my background being a communications major and being a manager and all these things, like I've
Mm,
always felt like having more details and content was better, right? Like being able to describe things in a way that really sparked somebody's imagination and like
yeah,
they felt like they were in the room. It's very hard to do that with a industry standard 1,000 word or less count, and that's the highest. Like right
yes.
now picture books are sitting around 600 in the sweet spot, and for mine, my first book is a lot longer than the second book,
Mm,
and reason being is I felt like I needed to, explain a lot of things.
yes.
But there's a way that you could do it with the pictures that can really make a difference as far as like showing the visuals and leaving some details out. So I think I learned a lot in writing the second book that it's okay for me to put less content as
Yes.
long as the imagery is describing kind of what's going on in the book. I can give you an example of a picture book I'm writing right now. It's a rhyming one, and I actually had it at the retreat.
Yeah.
And I have probably done about 7 drafts of that so far.
Yeah.
And that's really because A, the rhyming is really tough to get it exactly by meter and cadence and all those
Mhm.
things. And then also like trying to create a storyline in 600 words, making sure that you have the main character, that there's a problem, that there's challenges that they need to face, and then there's a good resolution. And it's imaginary enough for the kids, right? As like this
Yeah.
bedtime story. Like I think that it's actually more challenging to write the picture books for that reason, because you're trying to fit all these industry standards into
Yes.
such a short form of content. And I would say, like, for me personally, someone that's multi-genre now, it's actually been easier uh, imagine
Yeah.
writing other genres as well because of the challenge of the picture book. So I think that's a big misconception for sure.
It is. And I feel like if just like in a picture book, I like to think of words as like real estate sometimes.
Yeah.
And there was very little available real estate in a
Yeah.
picture book. Yeah, it's tough. I make my creative writing class write a
Mhm.
picture book. And I buy like the blank books, and so they have to illustrate it and do all the things. And they like at first they're like, "Oh, this is going to be so easy," and then 3 weeks in, they're like, "This is really hard." But they love it. Like it's super fun.
Yeah,
So
and I'd also say like once you have the text done, right?
yeah,
And then your illustrator gets it. There's also that component of do I need to cut more? Like
yeah,
when you're done illustrating, sometimes it's not an exact match, right? Like when you
mhm,
get the images, you really have to figure out like, is it worth me changing this entire illustration that's gorgeous?
yeah,
Can I just shorten the text or move a line? And like that happened when I was
mhm,
writing the first book because the space was small with all the beautiful illustrations that Victoria did. So trying to fit the text in
yeah,
and everything that was important in that short word count was tough.
yeah. No, I can't even imagine. Like that's not. This is I write novels. I can't even do a short story. I'm like, give me at least 80,000 words or I'm out. Um, so bless, bless.
Yeah.
What is your best advice to writers listening in who would love to write and publish their own picture books?
Yeah, I think the best advice I have for other authors who want to write their own picture book would be to create community, would be the first piece of
Mm,
advice. So really go in,
yeah.
find other authors that have done this before, and don't be afraid to ask questions. I get so many DMs from authors that I've never met them. I don't know who they are. They'll message me and they'll say, "Hey, I've been following you on social. I've seen you do X, Y, and Z really well. Like what advice do you have for me?"
Mm,
And I think that that's so important to put yourself out there and kind of befriend other
yeah.
authors so that you're not alone in this journey because it can be very isolating at times.
Very. Yeah.
My second piece of advice would be don't fall into the comparison trap with other authors. I would say that there's so many other authors that write children's books where I live in the Jacksonville, St. Augustine community. And what I've found is a lot of times it can be a little more cutthroat, like when it comes to trying to get a market spot or a
Uh-huh.
certain store or whatnot. Like we're all trying to do the same thing, right? So really just going into this, knowing your why, like what is important to you? Why are you doing this? Like, what is your main goal? Like, is it to sell
Yeah.
books or is it to teach kids a lesson? Because those are
Mhm.
two totally different things when you look at it
They
at the end.
are.
And I think that if you live authentically in that and you know you're going in for the right reasons, like those opportunities will ultimately come to you and you will
Mm,
have to work less hard at the end of the day to get those opportunities when you're doing things the right way and for the right reason. So those would be the pieces of advice I have. It's very easy to fall into, well, Susie Q is doing this, this, and this, and she went on TV and she did that. But like, you don't know what Susie Q's going through and behind the scenes. She could be getting 50 million rejections of queries for her picture
mhm.
book and doing all these things and or having a bad personal life. Like you just don't
Yeah.
know. So
And
I
everybody's
would,
journey is going to be different. And yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So stay, the best way to summarize is to stay in your own lane. Like just stay in your own lane, but have good people around you that you
Yeah.
can ask questions to along the way in your
Mm.
journey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I love both of those pieces of advice. I feel like my big thing is just community. I want writers to feel connected. I want them to be able to talk to each other, the ups, the downs, everything. And it's not so much about how can you help me, it's how can I help you? And that's how you start building those relationships, right? So,
Exactly.
yeah, solid advice, guys.
Kind of
Um,
like how we talk, right? Like at the retreat, like
oh my
similar things.
gosh. It was amazing. I'm gonna be honest, like I was going in not expecting to make some of the strong friendships that I made at that retreat. I was like, I'm just gonna be with 20 random people. Like, I just want to write, leave me alone. And I came away with like new little pieces of my heart, and I love it.
Yeah. It's awesome. I feel the same way.
Yeah, it was good. So I'd like to pivot just to a little bit more general writing topic. So on top of your two picture books, you have written a middle grade novel, and now you're drafting an adult novel.
I am.
Each of those age groups have totally different expectations and demands. And how do you get your brain to switch between such different types of stories?
It's hard. I think if I'm going to be completely honest, so far with my experience, the hardest genre has been the middle grade novel. And
Okay.
I'll tell you why. I think it's because it's such a medium between picture book and the new adult where say you've got a 30 to 50,000 word count or whatever, but agents are looking for that sweet spot, the short, punchy, like very like smaller word count. So we'll
Mm,
say 30 to 40, right? It's very hard to get everything you need to say into that word count to do a full contemporary novel to make an impact and really like evoke emotion out of the
yes.
reader. And then I'd also say, as far as like the voice of the MC, that was the most challenging, is like trying to put myself in a middle grade person's head and
Hmm.
talk like them. Um, my struggle in the beginning was I was writing too large of words, and I didn't realize that like middle graders
Right.
know those words, right? So I didn't know until I got into a middle grade critique group and started to get some feedback back and forth where I was like, oh, okay, I need to I need to tone it down a little bit and really focus on tightening up this voice so that the middle grade kids can relate to it. So that's been the
Mm.
most challenging genre so far. And I would say like the one that I feel really aligned with right now is the new adult rom-com
Yeah,
because it just sounds a lot more like my personal voice. Because I like to think I'm a funny person,
you are
but
delightful,
but
delightful
I
sense of
tried to
humor.
evoke like funny in
Oh,
in
you
the
do.
middle grade and it didn't land as well.
Yeah.
So it came across as like more, I guess, like serious tone. And so I had to do a lot more revisions on that one. But yeah, I'm having fun with all of it. I think just like researching your genre, really looking
Mm.
to see what the word count is. What are some of the hot books out in that
Yeah.
genre right now? Reading some of the books in the genre, obviously, that's really important, so you can understand comps and everything. And then again, like immersing yourself with people that are writing similar genres so you can ask those questions and find out like it was really helpful for me to read some of those middle grade novels in my critique group and say, oh, okay, I see exactly what they're saying now.
Hmm.
It's very punchy. The pacing's very fast,
Yeah.
right? Like so more action oriented. Like so those are the things I learned along the way. But it's really exciting to get to learn all these different genres of writing and really get to figure out where I personally fit best. And I'm still kind of, going through and seeing what hits and resonates. So
No, and
yeah.
again, like to go back to how we started this, and you're like, well, I published, you said with Book Baby first, and then you switched to Ingram
Yep.
Sparks. Like again, you're saying I started here, and now I'm trying something completely new. And I feel like just so many of us, once we start writing, we're like, no, this is where I write, and we
Right.
stay here. And I think that's amazing that you're going out and trying these new things and exploring and seeing what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, I feel like pivoting is really important,
Mm.
especially like if you feel you might have some talent in a different
Yeah,
area, like just trying it. And if it's not there, it's not there, right? Like you can
right.
certainly go back to what you were doing before. And I always know now that I have the picture book skills,
Mhm.
like if that's where I want to be, if I want to continue to write a little bit of everything, like
Yeah.
I'm really just trying to find my place in the writer world um it's been a lot of fun so far to get to try these different things and kind of see where I feel
Yeah.
my heart is at with the voice. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited to read more. So follow-up question to all of that. Have you noticed places in your writing that feel stronger because you're writing across those age groups? Like, has writing picture books and getting that meter and rhyme down crept into the draft of your adult novel at all?
I think so. I think it's I'm able to do a lot of succinct dialogue
Hmm.
and like that action piece. So trying to make sure that when, characters are interacting in the story for the new adult, that there's some sort of like motion or action to the conversation. Like they're not just standing there talking, like they're
Right.
doing something. Like I think that that has really helped to always be thinking like about pacing too. Like how can I get this scene across in the shortest way possible,
Yes.
right? Without jeopardizing an important detail. So really tightening up my writing, I think.
Mhm.
Had I not done the picture books or the rhyming, like I wouldn't really have thought of that for this new novel. So I
Yeah.
already noticed that the beginning is pretty punchy for what it is. So I'm excited to see if like that lands a little better
Mhm.
um, with like agents and so forth down the road. So.
Yeah. No, that's super exciting. I love it. I love it. Um, what has been your favorite part of writing the Jane books?
Mhm. Oh man, I
Tough
think my
question.
favorite part of writing the Jane books is seeing the result of
Uh,
the children's reaction to
mhm.
not just the story itself, but when I go in to do a reading and I see like them just light up and really it clicks and they get it,
Yeah.
that has meant the world to me. Or when I have a parent come up to me or a teacher and they say some story about, my kid has read your book like every single night, and I know your characters by heart. Like that means so much to me. And I didn't expect to like have that type of I don't want to say emotional connection because I am like an empathetic person and I have a lot of emotion, but I would say
Mhm.
like I didn't expect it to tie knots into my stomach as much as it does when those stories come to life and people share that with me. It really has meant like a lot to hear that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, that people are feeling confident about themselves and that they feel like their things that make them unique are a good thing when they're done reading the
Yeah.
book, that they can have transparent conversations with their parents when it comes to the bullying side of things, specifically for the first book. I've heard that like a lot of parents have been able to talk to their kids and use this as a tool to
Mhm.
then say, like, are you having any problems at school? Like, has
Yeah.
anything been going on? Like, it opens the door to fostering like really good conversation.
Conversation. Yeah, it definitely is a conversation starter because I was thinking about that. I'm like, there's just so many places that a parent can just stop and be like, hey, like, have you ever experienced this? And then get that kid to realize that like they need to speak up and have those conversations and just phenomenal.
Hmm. That's mental.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Mhm.
awesome. Hmm, Goosebumps. All right, so what's next? So I know that you have like have that picture book. Is that another Jane book or is that a different is that going in a different direction away from Jane?
It's going in a different direction away
Okay.
from Jane. So it is a rhyming bedtime lyrical picture book.
Okay.
Uh, and it is very ethereal. I'm
Don't
very
put
excited.
that word in the book. That's too big.
I
Too
won't.
big.
It's too grand, but this is who I am. See, this is a problem. It's charming and it's magical, and I'm
Mhm.
excited about it. I'm going through like last minute um look and reviews from
Yeah.
my grade group. There's a girl in there that actually writes rhyming picture books, so I'm having
Nice.
her give some feedback and just seeing like how can I make this absolutely perfect.
Mhm.
Um, so hopefully I'll be able to get that going. Yeah.
Yay. And what else? Like, so, like, when do we get to read your new adult book? Or
So
me? When do I get to read it? I guess is really
yeah,
what.
yeah, no, I would love to swap if you want to be a beta reader. I'm going through it. I'm on chapter 5 right now.
Mhm.
Probably be around that 80,000 word count.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of slowly working on it. I've outlined the entire thing. I've got some good like save the cat beat sheet structure for everything. So I've kind of popped in my template, like what I'm going to do and like
Mhm.
what things are going to happen. So I'm kind of slowly going at it. Obviously the middle grade one's done right now and is being queried, and then I'm hoping to query the picture book next,
Okay.
um, because I feel like that one will be done first. Um, and then like as I'm querying that, kind of shift my gears and get at the entire package ready for the new adult rom-com. And I have to be honest, like the more I think about comps and stuff, like the more excited I get. Because I just think that this one's going to be a lot of fun and it could flex in like new adult or adult based on like the
Okay.
agent. Some agents, if the character's 19, it's like, oh, well, technically
Mhm.
it's adult. Some people might want specifically that new adult. So I feel like it'll
Yeah.
give me an opportunity to kind of query more agents, more
Yeah. And
variety.
there is a market there for that. So, and like we learned so much, the two of us, about new
Yeah,
adults. We had a little bit of a misconception, but we got it
we
cleared up, and
did.
now we understand what it is. So, good for
Yeah,
us.
I should note that it's a closed door, non-spicy new adult. So, yeah.
All right, are you ready for your lightning round questions?
Ooh, I'm excited. Let's go.
Okay. So, one, if you had a superpower, what would it be?
If I had a superpower, it would be the ability to read people's minds.
Ooh, really?
And I'll tell you why.
Okay, yeah, I'm fascinated by
Because
this.
I'm always wondering what people are thinking when I'm talking to them. I'm very like curious and inquisitive when it comes to like like relationships, friends,
Mhm.
partners, whoever, right? Like, I just sometimes wish I could know what they're thinking because
Gosh.
I'm overthinking on my side, trying to figure out and analyze everything about that conversation, that person, that text, blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
I knew I
Okay.
think I would make better like decisions about things.
Yeah, that terrifies me. Like mind reading would be the one power I would never want unless I had very specific control over it. Because I don't want to see inside most people's minds. Like I no, absolutely not. Nope. Don't
Well, at
want it.
least I'd be able to save everyone if I knew stuff was going down, you know? I'd be like, I
True.
read their mind, I vigilante,
Yeah,
whatever I gotta do,
yeah, we got it.
you
Yeah, but if I would have to be able to like shut it down sometimes because there are times I'm just like, you know what, no, peace out. Like enjoy your life.
know? I could see it getting a little crazy every now and then for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you're brave for doing that. So I can see the benefits.
Yeah.
All right, question number two. What is your go-to move in rock, paper, scissors?
You know, it's always rock.
Is it?
And I don't know why. Like, I feel like most people are going to throw like a scissor, you
Yeah.
know? So,
Yeah.
this, the rock,
It,
rock
mine, I think mine's scissor. I think, yeah, like scissor. That's what I would do.
for the scissor. So I'm
Yep.
like, okay, rock. And not many people go for the
Nobody
paper.
goes for paper ever.
So you just like it's a 50-50 shot between the rock or
Yeah.
the scissors.
Yeah, this is true. Fascinating. All right. What's your go-to protein source when you're at home? Because I know you love your protein.
I love my protein.
I think about you every
Well,
time I eat protein now. I'm like, I'm having my protein. Jen would be proud.
yes, I'm proud. I really like the Truvani protein powder. I'm very picky about powders because I have like sensitive stomach. I think that that's an easy grab. But like meat wise, I'm a chicken fan. Do a lot of
Okay.
chicken.
Now, a specific way of cooking the chicken, or are you down for any chicken?
It would be grilled chicken of some sort.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love chicken, and grilled chicken is acceptable. Like I will eat it because it's delicious, but I also want mine breaded and deep fried. Like that's my ideal chicken. Give me all the extra deep fried goodness. Um, Fourth question, where have you not traveled yet that's someplace you definitely have on your list?
Switzerland.
Ooh, you have never
I
been
really,
to Switzerland.
I really want to go to Switzerland. And
Have you
I
been
just,
like close to it?
yeah, sort of.
Okay.
I've been to like Italy, Ireland, Scotland,
Uh-huh.
London, Paris, like a lot out there, but not Switzerland. And
Okay.
I just like heard it's absolutely beautiful and um like safe and like a nicer environment. And
Yeah.
I've seen like photos of the villages and everything there and the mountains and just seems like a good time, like a
Yeah.
chill time, you know?
I can confirm all of that. I'm gonna say like I accidentally ended up in Switzerland because we went on a trip, my friends and I, we went on a trip to Italy
Yeah.
and we're in Lake Como. And we're like, these mountains, like, what are these mountains? Where are we? And we found out we were in the Alps because like none of us
Okay.
had thought to look at a map. We were 7 kilometers away from Switzerland.
Wow.
So we just like we rented a car one day and crossed the border, had some hot chocolate, and came back. Oh,
That's
like
really
accidentally, we're like, oh my gosh, why did we not know this? None of us had looked at a map before our trip. We're just like, we're going to Italy. Cool. So highly
oh,
recommend. Oh my gosh. Jen, this has just been an absolute blast to speak with you. Scribblers, please look for Jennifer's webpage. It's going to be linked below. Click on it, go check it out. It is a gorgeous webpage. You can see so many things. Check out her books, get your own copies of Jane Escapes the Jungle of Individuality and Jane's Carnival Adventure. Thank you again just for chatting with us. I had so much fun and I can't wait to read more.
yeah, I'm excited. Thank you for having me and good night, Scribblers.
Yeah. It is. I don't know when you guys are going to be watching this, but it is past the time change and it is pitch
Yeah.
black outside here in Pennsylvania. I tell you what, it's ridiculous.
I always like it's hard to like, go and feel like you want to do things when it's
Oh
this.
yeah, yeah. And I'm just like, why am I still awake? And it's only 6 o'clock at night. I'm like, oh, that's why. Um, all right, scribblers, you know the drill. I need you to hit the like button. I need you to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Happy writing.